Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto and Sakura Had a Kid, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The light was blinding him. He rolled over as the room spun with him. He laid there until the movement stopped, drifting in and out of sleep. He heard someone snoring next to him. Suddenly an arm splayed across his back. Where the hell am I? He asked himself. He risked a peek at the person snoring next to him, secretly hoping for a hot girl. Perhaps pink hair. What the hell? He screamed, jumping from the bed. Kakashi was flung off the edge of the bed, hitting the floor with a sickening thud. He immediately sat up, looking around the room in confusion. What is it? The silver-haired Jonin groggily murmured. You were trying to spoon me. Naruto was pointing angrily at Kakashi. Spoon you? He was confused and drowsy. Not to mention he had a splitting headache. What's all the thing noise for? Kiba yawned from the foot of the bed. He was curled in a seemingly uncomfortable position. He sleepily rubbed his eyes. Had he been there all night? Naruto wondered. Why you were here, too? Naruto asked, exasperated. Kiba shrugged his indifference. You are all awake, I see, Shino said, entering the room in nothing but a towel and his dark glasses. Shino. Put some damn clothes on, Kiba growled. I am fully decent, Kiba. I know it's a lot of man to handle, Shino retorted, drying his spiky hair. Naruto, what were you saying about a spoon? I think he was saying Kakashi was making him be the little spoon. You know, his B, Kiba laughed as he took a swipe at Naruto. Kakashi looked around the room, still confused at the exchange. My head hurts, he rubbed the sore spot on his head, where it had collided with the table the night before. No, you decided to go spelunking under the table to hide from Kurenai. Kiba began recounting the night's events. Kurenai. Kakashi groaned, she is going to kill me. Most definitely, she will be angry, Shino agreed. Kakashi grabbed the satin comforter from the bed, covering himself as he laid where he landed. If he was going to be berated for not coming home, he at least wanted a good rest before taking it. Oi, Kakashi, you gotta face the music sometime, Kiba said, stretching out along the length of the bed. Not while I'm about to puke, Kakashi med. Dude, Kiba, you sleep like a dog, Naruto pointed out. Thanks. Kiba grinned, breaking into a yawn. Tsunade entered the bedroom. Shino, embarrassed at his state of undress, scrambled under the covers, unintentionally dropping his towel on the floor. Breakfast, anyone? She asked in a sing-song voice. She stood there with an apron covering the front of her Hokage uniform. She waved them into the kitchen before disappearing. Shino's face was red from embarrassment. That was unexpected, he murmured. Yeah, I never wanted to see you without clothes on, either, Naruto pointed out, and I don't want to ever again. Kiba snorted at Naruto's comment. Where's Shikamaru? He looked around the room. I recall him leaving the bar early last night, Shino mumbled, reaching for the towel he left behind. Breakfast, now. Tsunade roared from the kitchen. So, Jiraiya and Tsunade are screwing, Kiba mumbled. Wonder who's on top. They wearily stumbled into the kitchen to find Jiraiya drinking his morning tea and reading some docents. He looked up at the weary crowd. Good morning. Stop being so cheerful, old man, it's creepy this early in the morning. Naruto rubbed his swollen eyes. He was answered by the sound of retching into the garbage receptacle. They turned to find Kakashi vomiting the previous night's drinks. Gross, Naruto muttered. Lightweight, Kiba smirked. Naruto and Jiraiya were the only two left at the table. Kakashi had swiftly exited after eating, hoping to smooth things over with Kurenai. Luckily for him, Tsunade had informed Kurenai of the events in order to calm the near-due mother. Unluckily for Kakashi, Kurenai was going to milk it for all it's worth. Jiraiya could feel Naruto watching him. After spending 3 years training the young ninja, he knew that Naruto had a question brewing in his head. Out with it, the toad sage barked, causing Naruto to jump in his seat. Jiraiya, how did my father react when he found out he was going to be a father? Naruto asked tentatively. Jiraiya looked thoughtfully at Naruto over top of his docents. He could see the worry on Naruto's face. So, he's finally wising up, the Sannin thought. He lowered the papers, choosing his words wisely. Your father, he began, Minato, he was the happiest I had ever seen him. Naruto nodded at his mentor's words, his eyes searching the room aimlessly. He wanted to become a father. I'm not sure if you were planned, Jiraiya explained, but he could not undo it if it wasn't. He loved your mother very much, and it was his greatest dream to have a family. He had shared that with me before asking me to be your godfather. Why would he pick an old perv like you? Naruto grinned. I ask myself that every day, he replied before going back to reading. Naruto paced around the garden for almost an hour, debating what he would say to her. He had to see her. He had to explain himself to her. He had to let her know he was ready to help her in any way she needed, even if it was as a friend. It hurt to think that she may not love him back, but he must tell her his feelings. He couldn't keep them hidden, as he had done all these years. No matter her response, she was carrying his child, and he was ready to care for the baby. He debated at sending a clone in his place, in case Sakura decided to decimate him. He had heard that women who are pregnant are not known for the calm nature. He had witnessed that firsthand, a couple of weeks back, when Sakura had angrily sent him away. I'm not leaving that easily this time. He promised himself. He was resolute in his decision. He walked to her house. He could see it as he came into the clearing. He hesitated at her doorstep, his closed fist wavering in front of her door. He took a deep breath. And knocked. And knocked. No answer. Sakura. His voice rang out. Are you home? It's me, Naruto. Please open the door. Still, no answer. He was becoming impatient. He noticed that the curtains were open in one of the front windows, so he walked over to it, peering in. It took a few moments for his eyes to adjust to the dim light inside the cottage. He quickly scanned the front room of the ground floor. He saw her sitting, with her back to him. Her long pink hair hanging loosely down her back. She was slumped over. He knocked on the window. Sakura, please, I just want to talk to you. She remained motionless, her back to him. He tried to see if she was breathing, but the lighting was not conducive for fine, detailed vision. He began to panic. Sakura, he yelled, are you all right? He stumbled back to the front door, turning the handle. It moved without resistance. He flung the door open, quickly striding to where she was hunched over. Sakura, his voice was tense with worry. She jumped, startled at the sound of his voice so close. She turned, staring at him incredulously. Naruto, what the hell are you doing here? She asked, her own voice shaking from his unexpected presence. She pulled the stethoscope out of her ears, leaving it around her neck. I thought something was wrong, he stuttered, ashamed at his bravado. He had misread her posture and lack of response as an emergency situation. I thought that you were hurt. I had knocked on the door, and you didn't answer. I assumed the worst. I'm sorry, he squeaked, embarrassed at his rashness. She had been caught completely off guard. She turned to find her door completely open, the full sun casting a shadow into her den. She looked back to him, studying his face with confused green eyes. You thought I was hurt, she whispered. Suddenly she realized where he must have misread the situation. She held up the bell of her stethoscope. Sorry, I was just listening with this. Listening with it, Naruto repeated, still confused at the entire situation. This is what I use in the clinic to listen to patients' hearts, she explained. But you were listening to your stomach, he pointed out. I wasn't listening to my heart, she smiled tenderly. Here, you listen. She removed the ear attachments from around her neck, holding them out to him. Just put these in your ears. He shakily took them from her hands, placing them into his ears. Everything him became silent. He could see Sakura's lips move, but no sound was audible. So that was why she couldn't hear me. He realized. He watched her point toward her abdomen, as she put the wider portion of the instrument high on her bare stomach. A soft fluttering sound filled his ears. His eyes widened in amazement. That's the baby, he yelled. Sakura chuckled, and signaled him to take the stethoscope out of his ears. He didn't realize how loud he was talking. He grinned as he was once again surrounded by sound. Sorry. You were listening to the baby's heartbeat, Sakura explained. Wow, its heart, He trailed off, thinking about the fact that there was a living being in her stomach. A living being that was half his. Sakura, he began. She quickly interrupted him, pulling her plum-colored shirt over her exposed midsection. Naruto, I'm sorry, she blurted. She blushed at her interruption. I haven't been myself, and I was extremely irrational last week. I want to apologize. You didn't deserve it. He was surprised at her sudden apology. His eyes searched hers. Sakura, it's my baby, our baby, isn't it? He could see the tears forming. They silently fell down her cheeks. She nodded, wiping her face. She folded the stethoscope, placing it on the end table next to her chair. She winced, clutching her stomach. What is it? Panic. Naruto dropped on the hardwood floor, near the arm of her chair. It's kicking, she winced again. Does it hurt? Sometimes. Depends on where it kicks. Right now, I think my bladder is getting assaulted, she explained. She was touched by the concern that was so apparent on his face. Do you want to feel it? His blue eyes widened at the prospect. Really? Could I? She nodded, smiling at his excitement. Here, she took his hand, placing it over her stomach. He waited, but felt nothing. I don't feel, wait. He broke out into a grin. I feel it. It's kicking my hand. Doesn't that feel weird? Yeah, but you get used to it after nearly 7 months of it. Wow, Sakura. He breathed, his eyes sparkling. Naruto, I'm really sorry. I should have told you sooner, she murmured her apology. Blue eyes streaked USD green eyes for what seemed an eternity. I'm gonna be a father. Whether you like it or not, she confirmed, speaking softly. She looked down at her stomach, where her hand was covering Naruto's. He followed her gaze. He slowly turned his hand over, interlacing his fingers with hers. You don't have to do this alone, you know. I'm here for you. With you. More tears. I know. And this hormone excuse, he began. It stays, she warned. They smiled at each other. Boy or girl? He whispered. I thought it should be a surprise, she replied, hoping he wouldn't be disappointed with her answer. He nodded. I think it's better that way. She sighed in relief. He rubbed his thumb over hers. That night, when we, do you regret it? No, never, she whispered as he wiped the tears from her face. But why did you insist on forgetting about it? He asked, searching her face for answers she may not be ready to give. I thought that it only happened because we were drinking, and I didn't want you to feel guilty about it, she explained. If you only knew how long I had dreamed of that night. You would realize that I would have never regretted it. Not in a million years. His eyes remained locked on hers. She knew he meant every word. She could feel it. He was never one to lie. He reinforced his words by gently brushing his lips against hers. Her heart raced as he cupped her face with his free hand. I'm not leaving, Sakura, he whispered against her lips. Before she could say anything, he kissed her. He was hesitant at first, but the memory of her lips was quickly restored. Neither wanted the kiss to end, daring the other to pull away first. They were interrupted by a loud crash at the front door. The startled and embarrassed pair turned to the source of the noise. To their surprise, Kakashi was collapsed against the door, breathing heavily. Sakura, can't find Tsunade, I need help. Kurenai, he gasped between breaths. He sped his mask down from his face as he attempted to catch his breath. Sakura was quickly on her feet. Being pregnant didn't stop her from being an agile kunoichi. What is it, Kakashi? Naruto was at her side as if he was guarding her. She cast him a worried glance. Is Kurenai all right? Naruto asked. Kakashi shook his head. Blood, lots of blood. The baby, he croaked. His eyes told the rest. Sakura knew that Kurenai was in danger. She quickly grabbed her medical bag. Is she at the house? She was quickly the professional medic that her training prepared her for. Kakashi nodded. She put a hand on his shoulder. I'll go ahead, you catch up. She instantaneously disappeared out the door in a blur of pink and plum. Naruto followed closely behind. What's wrong? Naruto asked, matching her pace. He was surprised at how quickly she could still run. I'm not sure. She isn't due for another 4 weeks. This isn't good. I'm worried that she's in early labor, Sakura tried to explain without too much detail. Will she be alright? Naruto asked, glancing back toward Kakashi. He wasn't close enough to hear the exchange, thankfully. She stared straight ahead. I can't be sure. Not until I see her. They reached the house, finding the front door open. Kurenai was sitting on the floor, her face sickly white. She was sitting in a pool of blood, squirming in pain. She registered the arrival of the medic. Please, Sakura, save the baby, she pleaded. Her hair was matted to her forehead, her legs smeared with blood. She screamed as a gush of water oozed from between her legs, spilling out onto the floor. Kurenai, Kakashi's unsteady voice announced his arrival. Sakura knew she had to act quickly. Naruto, get Kakashi out of here. I'll be all right. She opened her bag, looking for the small blue pills. She handed them to Naruto. Here, give him these. They will calm him. Naruto nodded his understanding, closing his fingers over the pills in his palm. What are you going to do, Sakura? He asked, eyeing the bloody scene before him. Her back was to him, but her could hear the finality in her voice. I'm going to deliver Kakashi's baby. Right here. Right now. Naruto dragged Kakashi outside. The older man didn't resist. Sit, he commanded, pointing to the steps outside the home. Kakashi obeyed, saying nothing as he slumped onto the seat. Naruto sat next to him. Nothing passed between them for a few moments. The blonde ninja held out his hand. Here, take these. Sakura said they would calm you down. No, he shook his head. Kakashi, please, it'll make you feel better, Naruto pleaded. He didn't like seeing his former sensei this anxious. Is the baby going to be all right? Kakashi asked, panic in his voice. Sakura knows what she is doing, Naruto nodded. Kurenai will be fine. A scream resonated from inside the house. Kakashi was immediately on his feet. Kurenai. No, Naruto yelled, grabbing Kakashi by the arm, preventing him from entering the house. I have to make sure she's all right, the baby, he said, his eyes wild with fear. She will be fine. Sakura is taking care of her. She is probably just having the baby a little earlier than planned. This happens, from what I hear. It's Sakura we are talking about, don't you trust her? His words must have reached Kakashi, because he silently and slowly returned to his seat. He laced his fingers together, putting his elbows on his lap. He leaned his forehead into his hands, mumbling quietly, if anything happens, Kurenai, baby, failed. Naruto could barely make out what he was saying. He caught a few words here and there, realizing how much this child meant to Kakashi. He covered his own worry with one of his trademark smiles. It's going to be all right, Kakashi. Promise. Kakashi barely nodded, staring out into the distance. Naruto cast a glance back toward where Sakura was delivering Kurenai's baby at that moment. Hurry, Sakura, he silently pleaded. Sakura ran into Kurenai's bedroom. She quickly scanned the room for anything she could use. She grabbed the sheets, pulling them completely off of the bed. She made her way into the bathroom, filling her arms with any towel she could find. She pulled a bucket from the closet and quickly filled it with warm tap water. She could hear Kurenai groaning from the living room. Hurry, Sakura, she panted. Sakura was quickly at Kurenai's side, dropping the sheets and towels. She placed the bucket at Kurenai's feet. Kurenai, I need you to tell me where it hurts, Sakura instructed. Kurenai nodded, swallowing hard. She pointed to her lower abdomen. It hurts in there, she gasped as the pain returned. It's sharp, I think it's the baby. How often are your contractions? The medic pressed. About every minute or so, the older woman answered, gritting her teeth. Sakura used her chakra to quickly scan the woman's abdomen. It was as she suspected, an early separation of the placental lining. The baby was indeed in distress. Given the amount of blood Kurenai had lost, it appeared to be a very serious form of the condition. Normally it can be painful, but often there is no bleeding. Sakura remembered her obstetrics training. She had seen something similar to this her first month in the field with Shizune. They had lost both the mother and baby, and she spent days reading about the condition in order to prevent that same catastrophe again. Kurenai, do you know your blood type? She asked softly. She steezed her tone, so as not to scare the woman. AB, she croaked. Why? What's wrong? Sakura looked her in the eye. Kurenai, you have lost a lot of blood. I will need to replace it in order to make this delivery successful. Yes, you have to deliver this baby now. I know it's early, but the placenta has already detached itself, and there is no other way. You will need to do exactly as I tell you, do you understand? Kurenai nodded. Her crimson eyes were full of fear. Sakura was feeling drawn into them, as if something was pulling her away from the matter at hand. She blinked. The room returned to normal, and the heaviness in her head cleared. Kurenai, please control your genjutsu. It's, quite strong right now, she choked. Sorry, Sakura. Sakura reached into her bag, pulling out a set of bottles. She found the one that corresponded with Kurenai's blood type. She twisted the lid open, pulling out a small scroll. She opened the scroll and swiftly activated the seal. A small, bright red pill fell into her palm. She handed the pill to Kurenai. I need you to chew this. It will help to restore the blood you've lost. Kurenai acquiesced, before a new spasm tore through her. Please, save my baby, she whispered. Sakura sent a pulse of chakra into Kurenai, reading the information as it returned. There was a fetal heartbeat. But, it was quick and the rhythm was abnormal. But, the heart was still beating. A good sign, she thought. The pink-haired medic quickly continued her examination. Kurenai was dilated, all she needed to do was push the baby. Sakura was still concerned about the child, and knew that they had to deliver this baby as soon as possible. She instructed Kurenai to bend her knees, placing herself near the raven-haired Jonan's feet. On the next contraction, I want you to push. Do you understand? Kurenai nodded, sweat running down her face. Sakura could feel the warm blood soaking through the towel that she had placed below her own knees. She could tell from Kurenai's breathing that another contraction was about to occur. Her hands were in place, supporting the arrival of the child. Kurenai screamed in pain. Push, Sakura instructed. Kurenai groaned as she strained to push. Sakura could feel the baby's head contacting her fingers. Okay, breathe deeply. You are doing wonderfully. Do the same thing on the next contraction. You are doing good, Kurenai, she tried to soothe the anxious mother. Kakashi, where is he? She panted. He's outside with Naruto. I thought it was best that he wasn't here for this, she explained. Another contraction. Kurenai strained, pushing against the resistance. Sakura felt the head crest through her sea. She grasped the baby's head under the chin, pulling the child from Kurenai. She quickly clamped the umbilical cord before severing it. When Sakura hadn't heard so much as a sound from the child, she immediately knew something was wrong. She looked at the small infant cradled in her hands. It was pale and lifeless. She hit the baby's feet looking for the normal response, but received none. She felt for a heartbeat, but turned up nothing. She had just felt a heartbeat. How was this possible? She tried pushing on the child's chest for a breath or cry. Still there was nothing. Had she been too late? My baby is all right. Kurenai's voice interrupted Sakura's attempts to retrieve a heartbeat or breath sound. She frantically pulled the baby closer to her body. She couldn't hide this from Kurenai. She had to do something. She pulsed her chakra into the baby, a boy, receiving a weak reply. There was a faint heartbeat. She opened the child's mouth, using 2 fingers to sweep out any debris that may have lodged in its tea. She knew it was common for babies in both premature and emergency deliveries to swallow the contents of the placenta, especially if it was hemorrhaging. She felt a sticky fluid contact her fingers, and she pulled on it. A clump of brown, viscous fluid was expelled from the child's mouth. She turned the baby over onto its stomach to help dislodge the fluid. She lightly hit the boy's back. She heard a hiccup and a hissing sound. She had dispelled the fluid, but why wasn't he breathing? She tried to remember back to her stus. What happens during the first breath in premature babies? She asked herself. She immediately turned the child onto its back. She could still detect a faint heartbeat, though she knew that its tiny heart wouldn't hold out for long. The child's lips were turning blue from lack of oxygen. She used her mystical palm technique to emit a small, controlled pulse of chakra into the baby's thorax. She could feel the chest swell up almost immediately. His crimson eyes flickered open before he squeezed them shut, a small, high-pitched mew escaping from his lips. She smacked his feet again. This time, he announced his arrival with a loud, shrill scream that she was sure all of Konoha could hear. His face was turning purple from the effort. Is that my baby? Kurenai asked, stretching her fingers to touch her child. Yes, he wanted to let you know he's arrived, Sakura confirmed. Kurenai smiled as Sakura swaddled him in a nearby blanket. He continued to howl. My son, Kurenai whispered. As much as Sakura wanted to reunite mother and son, she knew that the danger wasn't over. She had to remove the placenta before Kurenai bled to death. Even with the blood pill, the risk of hemorrhaging was still exceedingly high. If the placenta remained inside of her for too long, Sakura knew that she would be at risk for a barrage of dangerous complications including death. I still need you to push, Kurenai. We aren't done. She grabbed the severed umbilical cord that was protruding from the mother, adding slight traction to help its expulsion from her body. Kurenai, listening to the pink-haired Kunoiki, pushed again. The placenta still wasn't being expulsed. Sakura could feel the panic and confusion beginning to take over. Sweat was running into her eyes, and she could feel the fear sping her heart. Kurenai, could you push for me? Once more. She received no response to her questions. Sakura looked up to find Kurenai lying with her eyes open, staring blankly at the ceiling. Before Sakura could register what was happening, Kurenai's crimson eyes rolled up into her head. No. Kurenai, stay awake, Sakura yelled. She had to get the birth remnants out of her. The blood loss must have been too great for the pills to counteract. She began to massage the new mother's lower abdomen, while adding greater traction on the umbilical cord. Still the placenta refused to budge. Sakura knew something was seriously wrong. The placenta would no longer be able to be delivered vially, as Kurenai was not capable of it in her current state. Sakura had no time to properly anesthetize her, as she must act quickly. She drew out her chakra scalpel, quickly cutting through Kurenai's lower abdomen and into her uterine wall. She reached inside, finding the culprit. She used both hands to carefully pull the placenta from the unconscious mother. She tried to stop the blood loss, but each time she stopped it, copious amounts would be lost from another area. She knew that there was only one way she could absolutely stop the bleeding, but Kurenai was unconscious and couldn't give her consent. The dark-haired Jonin was already going into shock, and her heart couldn't last much longer with the blood loss. Sakura knew that delivering this baby only for the mother to was not an acceptable outcome. She was only left with one option and she was going to take it. She intricately dissected the woman's womb from her body, cauterizing the blood supply and thereby shutting down the blood loss. She monitored Kurenai's vitals, her heartbeat slowed and her breathing improved. The color came back to her skin, a sign that the blood pill was replenishing the lost blood. She expertly sutured the incision with special thread. It would heal much more quickly and effectively than the normal silk sutures without allowing infection. In a few hours' time, a faint scar would be the only indication of the procedure. The child's cry interrupted Sakura's thoughts. She quickly put the surgical contents in a blanket for disposal. She continued to examine the baby. A healthy baby boy, she smiled. She cleaned the blood from the floor, throwing the contaminated remains in the garbage. She also cleaned the baby, swaddling it in one of the softer towels. She was cradling the baby, checking various reflexes to ensure proper development when she heard the door open. Sakura. Naruto followed Kakashi into the room a few moments later. I tried to stop him, but he used his Sharingan on me. Sakura smiled at her former sensei. Want to meet your little boy? A boy, Kakashi repeated. He took a tentative step toward the child that was swaddled in her arms. He reached out to touch the baby, drawing back as if in fear of hurting the child. He looked at Kurenai who was still unconscious on the floor. Sakura followed his gaze. She'll be fine. She lost a lot of blood, too much. I had to remove her womb, she explained. She won't be able to have any more children. It was the only way to save her life. I'm sorry, Kakashi. Kakashi Street USD Sakura as she held his newborn son. He knew that she felt guilty for performing such a serious surgery. But, she had saved his child and his lover. He owed her his life. Thank you. You have no idea how much you have done. They are both alive. That is all that matters to me. Sakura sighed her relief. She'll be in some pain, but it'll heal within the next couple of hours. She motioned to Kurenai. They both gave me a big scare. Quote. He nodded his understanding. Thank you again, Sakura. You have become an excellent doctor. She held the fussy infant out to Kakashi. Now, I think there is someone you need to meet. He's got a nice set of lungs on him. I'm assuming he got those from his mother. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.